Hello, Jennifer.
Hello, Jenn T. Grace. How is this week treating you?
So far, so good. We're on hump day, so we're in good shape right now, in good spirits. It's nice weather, so I feel like to me,
That's good.
for me, if the weather is nice, I'm okay. If it's not nice, all bets are off.
That's so true. Yes, spring is easing into, I think it's stabilizing, right? It's less kind of cold nights and rain, rain, rain. And it's fine. The Northeast, at least, is finally starting to feel a little like summer, dare we say it.
I know, right? Especially when other parts of the country have been like in sweltering heat for months at this point already. And we're like finally like it's here. And all three of us are in the Northeast. So we have New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts all in one little clump here. So Jen, do you know what week we're in? I feel like this might be
Oh,
12.
God.
I think this might be the 12th week of doing these. Could be 13.
Who knows?
It's been a while. So I think today's conversation is going to be refreshing because we have Ed with us. Hello, Ed.
Hello,
Welcome to the Jen Sandwich.
Yes. And I think it's going to be a great conversation because it'll be wrapped around and Ed is definitely going to share with us what you've been doing kind of throughout COVID. But I think, Jen, you just said as it's starting to, things are starting to change. And I think some degree of what we'll talk about is how are we adapting with this new change of things are reopening, some people are going back to work, some are not. How are we all adapting to what's going on? So I'm excited to see where this conversation takes us today. Ed, what's on your mind right now? I'm just going to throw it out, leave it real open-ended for you. How are you feeling today?
Well, a quick introduction. So my name is Ed. I'm feeling great. It's beautiful weather. It's been horribly here in New England, as we all know. No, I'm good. I'm excited. I'm trying to remember what day it is, what date it is, and trying to make sure that we're moving forward a little bit at a time.
You're so awesome, Ed. In learning about you, I know you've been holding 9 a.m. calls for a certain community, and it's the little things that you're really focusing in on that I appreciate that you're doing, like taking a shower and maybe putting shoes on, So I love your work is I know it's not primarily it is what you do, but you're also known for a lot of other expertises, like language and culture education, for example, as one. And you're multilingual and, very internationally oriented. But I want to hear more about these calls and the rituals and the practices that you've discovered kind of ground us in this time of uncertainty. And they're small and they're doable, right? And they have such an outsized impact on how we're feeling. I would imagine the feeling of competence, the feeling of stability, of perhaps familiarity, the feeling of it's going to be okay. How do in these small actions that you recommend, how do those work on us psychologically to help us manage the anxiety of this moment?
Yeah, absolutely. So back up pre-COVID, I'm a doer. I created a system of teaching languages called the Rola Method, which is do stuff. My personality is when things go awry, I take control and I say, you call 911 and I take over the situation. That's my personality. The scary part about COVID was, what does somebody like myself do, number one, and how do we respond to that? My husband is a physician assistant. He was redeployed in the hospital working with COVID patients. Scared the crap out of me. And I think that one of the things that I've always been working on as a person, as a professional, as an expert, is being honest and truthful. And it was, and I tell everybody, this was a scary experience. But then how do we respond to that? And so how I responded to that was two ways. One, selfish, and one, community oriented. And I packaged them as one. So selfish, I can sleep for hours. I take siestas every day. Culturally, I am Latino. I am trained to sleep the siesta and enjoy it. Number two, so I decided, and I reached out to my friends. I posted on Facebook. I said, hey guys, I know that for myself, I need somebody to help me wake up every morning, or I'm going to stay asleep. Also, because of the fear factor of what's happening, I also know that my depression mechanism is also sleep. That I respond in certain ways, and this has been a a journey of 10 years of therapy and yoga and spiritual finding and exploring and running in the woods and things like that. So that's me. So I decided, one, I needed to respond so that I could protect myself, and then two, how can I incorporate my community, right? And so I think that one of the things that I wanted to do, what I do very well, is I motivate people. People say I have an infectious personality. You may not feel it today, but I do have one. And then the last part about it is that I form teams, and that's one of my expertises in management, is I form teams. And so I decided that we were going to create a 9 a.m. goal setting team. I didn't know what that was or who it involved. And the community actually isn't anybody, it was everybody's invited. I have 3,000 friends on Facebook. I posted it on my work page. We have 2,000 followers, I believe, on my work page. And I was like, hey guys, join me on this journey. And the one rule, because I know I don't do this or wouldn't do this if I didn't have to, the one rule is just take a shower. And that's how we started. We had a Zoom call. We had 5 members. I was actually surprised at some of the people who dialed in the first few calls. I was a little nervous that the 9 a.m. goal setting call was just going to be me every day by myself. And lo and behold, we had a faculty member from one of the universities dial in, who's on a public health commission with my husband. She and I have met in passing, but she felt the urge to call. I had a former employee of mine from China dial in. We had an Italian who had lived actually as a renter in my house as a student, who dialed in and actually was very depressed because he had been in quarantine and could not leave his house for 7 or 8 weeks. And he needed some interaction. He's like, oh, I could practice English as well. But we realized that all of us were suffering in a different way. We were reacting differently, and we needed to come together somehow. And it started with a call.
So awesome. And so what I find interesting is that if we look at our world pre-COVID versus now in it, and who knows what the after is going to look like, the fact that just taking a shower is like a victory for people. So, and it's not like, I've heard this from a lot of different people where it's like, it's almost like, oh, you have wet hair, like you're bragging that you took a shower today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that one of the things that I've realized, and again, this is sort of me as a teacher and as an educator, right, is how we feel. There is a direct correlation in how we look, how we dress. And those are simple things, what we put on a daily basis, right? If you want to clean up your life, wear black for the rest of your life, right? And it takes away, to simplify your life. Mm-hmm. So the simple thing of feeling clean, right, helps you in a positive way. I think that was one thing that we realized. The other thing that we realized is that and this I think is something that we're still working on, right, is that we're more vulnerable to the world. Mm-hmm. And so do we accept that vulnerability, and how do we accept it, right? So me putting on clothes actually and taking a shower and combing my hair, I go live on Facebook regularly like you guys do. And part of it is like, oh, you're very well put together. Well, that's kind of my shield to the world, right? Sure. And I think that that's important. Don't forget that you have a shield, right? And I think that that's something that's important as we're trying to cope with whatever's happening or whatever we're going through. That, and then the goal setting part of it came second. So what were your goals for today came second after the shower part of it, because I was afraid that I wasn't sure how we're going to continue this, or like it was boring. Okay, hey, how's it going? Oh, you took a shower, great, fantastic. So then my management kicked in and I said, okay, hey, 3 things. Reflect on yesterday. Tell me your 3 goals, whether you do them or not, it's okay. And then we started the first month of this. I made everybody say what you were grateful for. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of us, and I think that this is something that I try to tell everybody, like, we're privileged. I come from a poor background in rural Texas. My mother's disabled, has been her entire life. They're living on a fixed income. I can't go visit them, or we chose not to. We chose to separate because my siblings are taking care of them. But part of it also is sort of being honest, right? And we're grateful and we're privileged and we can do this and we're able to do this and we're not worried about food. And I tell this to people when I'm talking about my goal setting project. It's free, right? You don't have to pay for anything, right? And we don't. But so yes, we're privileged, but right now there's great opportunity for us to take advantage of some of these resources that are out there to groups and trainings and things like that.
Totally. I would argue if you're privileged, you should be creating free resources right now, like because of that, right? If you're somebody who has a lot of cycles available, or you're feeling more stable in these times than a lot of other people are, I would consider that a privilege. If you're feeling, dare I say it, uber creative right now, and you have the bandwidth to do that, then I feel like the onus is on us. I mean, this is inclusive leadership to me, is sort of adjusting to what the need is. And if it's not your need, but it's a need that others are experiencing, if you can activate some of that bandwidth to answer that need, and you can hold space, you can convene, you can do the administrative stuff, you can maybe even pay for something that others can't at a time when it's needed. Like, those are the pieces of activating our privilege that are so important right now. And I agree.
This space is amazing as well, and I admire for you guys what you guys are doing as well. I think that's important.
Such a great quote, Jen.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I've been doing a similar thing, a call twice a week. I just mentioned it in the chat in case anybody wants to tune in, but it's been, my world is diversity, equity, and inclusion practitioners and advocates. So people who have the job of doing that in organizations, and then people who want that job someday, and also people who just do it like because it's their passion.
Right.
And we've been joined by 100 people, most of whom are the same folks over and over, because it's the spa day they didn't know they needed, like, to connect in.
No, but that's also I think one of the interesting things in the 9 a.m. goal setting group is we didn't realize what we needed. We thought that it was a functional part of making that phone call or dialing into the Zoom call. Then we realized that there was something else that we needed, and I can see through the progress of our group that sometimes we needed emotion support. I know some people, their attitudes have changed completely based on just dialing in or doing that call. I told you earlier off screen that I have a dear friend of mine who's retired, and she chose in her retirement age to wake up early, and she's been waking up early. We have people who are going back to jobs, and I do remember when about 2 weeks ago when we started talking about opening up again, the feeling of the group was anxious. And I felt it. I said it. Other people acknowledged it. That now our paradigm has shifted again, and now we're trying to figure out what is the new norm, and no one's giving us guidance, and we have to kind of play with it, right? So we didn't realize what we needed. We've cried before. We've sent off. When my husband got redeployed again, it's COVID. We didn't know what that meant, and so it sounded scary. And the group felt my fear, and they sent him off to work, to the battle. Right, to ground zero. And so it was very empowering because I needed that support. So my first day alone at the house, when I woke up to do my 9 a.m. call because I'm the leader, and it was hard. And I think that we don't realize actually what we need. And I think that it's important for anybody out there listening, find your community, make your community. And if you don't, call us, we'll help you find it, because I think right now, all three of us are suffering in different ways. We're experiencing trauma in different ways, and we're the quote unquote leaders, but we also are going through things, right? And I think it's very important for us to remember to ask each other. When I talk to Jen once a week, I make sure to ask her, how are you doing? Because I want to make sure that we're checking in with each other as well. And that was one of our homeworks for everybody, was to ask people. And in all caps, how are you doing? And the responses they got were crazy. We're like, oh God, we're honest. But it was great. It was beautiful, and I think that the trauma that the world, and it's not just us, right? The trauma the world is experiencing, where there are going to be long-term effects. And I think back to what we're talking about, daily actions, right? You don't have to do big things to save the world. You don't have to do big things to save yourself. You can do one thing, or you can do nothing, and nothing may be okay in the appropriate time. So we sometimes encourage our members of the 9 a.m. goal setting group, stop, take a break. Don't do nothing. Don't call on Monday. It's a holiday. Take the weekend off. Make it a weekend. Don't work throughout the weekend. Make it a weekend. And stop working at night. Work 9 to 5 like you normally do, and then go do something. And it's okay if On Wednesday, you wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you don't want to dial in and you watch Netflix. That's okay, right? And so we've gone through this process, and I think it's been an amazing thing. Yeah.
Have you found that people have kicked and screamed their way into that relinquishing the control and kind of giving themselves permission to kind of just go and not wake up at their normal time? Or because I know I'm definitely type A to a bit of an extreme. I feel like I'm in recovery over being type A, and I know that it's not always the best thing for me, but it's just kind of my natural default setting. So I know for me, it's really hard to slow down or to say, you know what, I'm going to start working today at 9 instead of 6:30 when I normally start. So like, did you see resistance with people when you were kind of encouraging them to do this?
Yeah. So yeah, yes and no, right? So we have some personalities that need to be told what to do. We have some personalities who need to stop doing what they're doing. And one of our members who's been actually with me since the beginning, and she and I know each other through a Latinx alumni organization, and she came with 50 things per day. And I'm gonna call her K, because she's probably watching. And I said, K, and the whole group absorbed it, and we absorbed it, and we absorbed it. And then finally, she's like, you know what? I'm going to take a break. And we're like, oh my God, yes. Okay, great. I think that over time, she realized it. You know what? Today I'm going to do one thing. And if I don't do that one thing, it's okay. And so actually seeing her transformation, and it's not that she's not productive. She's very productive. She runs a nonprofit. And she's very productive, but it's okay. And I think she realized that as you know, what was sustainable and what was not. Mm-hmm. She's a brilliant woman. But I think that acknowledging that it's okay. I am, again, we have a group leader, me, and so I am trying to be conscious of those, these permissions I think we sometimes need. I try to give myself permission as well. So I work, again, we talked about this before, I work from Monday through Thursday all day long and all night long. And then Thursday afternoon, I go for a long run. And then Friday, if I get something done, it's okay. And then Saturday to Sunday, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. It's my moment to do whatever I want.
Yeah, I love that. I think that the most sort of type A's, which I'm sure the three of us are, the learning is actually taking the foot off the gas and like realizing that the sky is not going to fall if we do that. And that less is in fact more right now. And if you are a leader and feeling the pressure of holding space for people and not able to share our own, like, how do we put our oxygen mask on first? I think it can feel, depends how you experience holding space for others, whether you feel it's depleting or it's something that really fills you up, right? Or maybe a little bit of both. It probably depends on the day. Sometimes it feels like a chore and like, wait a second, like, what about me? Who's holding space for me? And then other days you have more that you can give and give and give, because you have this reservoir. So it's really interesting to tune into that in a new way because of all this.
And part of the thing that we've done in the goal setting group, I think is also awesome. And I encourage everybody to do this as well, is that back to my armor, get tools for that armor, right? I think part of the, we've done personality tests and we've done tendency tests and we've done vision boards, and I want to talk about the vision board here before we go as well. What we've realized is that this is a great opportunity to, and I know a lot of people are using the word learn, right? And learning is, in my opinion, we're academics and we are business owners and stuff, but we learn. I think people can arm themselves with tools that will prepare us for the new normal. And if this ever happens again, which unfortunately might happen, to prepare us again and to arm yourself. So put on your shield, take a shower, and dress up, and then get the tools out there, right? And so we've had coaches come to our group and taught us. One of the coaches, a great friend of mine, Carol Goss, she I invited her and she's like, what should I talk about? And we kind of talked through different things. And so, what is our value system? We talked about that in our goal setting session. And we could have talked about it for hours and hours because our value system and the terminology that we use probably has changed before COVID and then during COVID, and we're changing again back into the new normal. And I use myself as example. So because, again, back to my frontline worker at home, I felt and the word was interesting that I chose. So my 3 values were something like support, uh, learn, and then the other one was selfishness.
Hmm.
Before COVID, I would have never used the word selfish.
Hmm.
And selfish has a bad connotation. There's better words than selfish. It's going to imply protection, right? Protecting my family, protecting my frontline worker at home, my husband, right? But I chose the word selfish because it's okay to have some of these negative thoughts in COVID. And I realized when I blurted it out that my value system has changed, not good or bad. It's just dealing with the current situation. And you might change that value system again and talk about something else, right? Another thing that we did was we did breathing. We had one of my dear friends of mine. She does a lot of breathing work. She's a yoga instructor, but she does breathing and boxing breathing. Anxiety. I find myself doing breathing techniques to try to control anxiety. And my anxiety manifests itself physically, and I break out. Everybody knows this. I break out in red everywhere.
Wow.
And so how I control that anxiety also, these are tools. And I think that arming ourselves with tools for the future right now in the present is a great opportunity for a lot of people out there.
Ed, can I ask you, there's been some really horrifying incidents in the news the last couple of days relating to racism and police brutality. And I had some friends on Twitter who said, I'm taking a mental health day today. I'm off. Like I can't cope because of what I'm going through and what I'm feeling right now. So I'm going to disappear. And I'm assuming that, that's a work day where people are literally like clearing the schedule and saying, I'm not here. And I just wondered, as a member of the LGBTQ community, we've had our moments of grief and grieving and anger. And then we all are allies on this call for communities that are in pain, and we are in pain therefore. So I just wondered too, like, what are the daily rituals? And I guess that's a great example of something that is something you can do and that your manager should give you permission to do. Of course, right? I hope we all get the privilege of working for someone that says, if you need a mental health day, like just say the word. I mean, no questions asked. And that we are empowered to do that. But when you work for yourself or you're in transition, we have the power to say, I need this time and I'm going to sort of feel the emotions and not need to be on camera on Zoom. I'm not going to, like you said, I'm not going to need to show up for things. So I guess I wonder, like the diversity lens on all of this is interesting to me, because the sensitivity we need to have for each other as well and be aware of what might be going on for people also is a piece of that I'm very acutely aware of. And hoping for the same grace in terms of when I need that too is so fundamental to our working together, having that grace for each other. And I consider that one of the most beautiful silver linings that has come out of this is the empathy for others. I hope that's coming out of this. Yeah. If it's not, you are truly have like a heart of stone.
So I think the question is like, what are the rituals for
like
trauma or pain,
trauma?
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's running. I've lost actually 12 pounds during COVID, and part of it was intentional, but part of it was this running. I have experienced death, and Jenn and I have talked about this in my life, and running is my go-to, right? So a ritual. So I think that one of the things that I talk about this all the time with people, and I'm gonna wear one more hat real quick. So I am the president emeritus of the Harvard Latino Alumni Association, Harvard's official Latinx alumni group, and I'm now serving on Boston chapter leader is who I am now. And so we're very aware of what how we experience trauma is also cultural. And I'm going to say this, and no offense to you both. Okay, but here goes. These spaces, I think, and I think that I watch you guys and I applaud you for this. Sometimes the lens comes from a white person lives.
Mhm.
Okay. And so like how we share that trauma and how we ask the question or how we give people space of different backgrounds, like, do we actually understand? Maybe not, right? And acknowledging I'm giving you space, but I don't understand or may not understand your cause. I'm angry because I'm angry, but I don't know why you're angry and how your anger may be different than my anger, right? And I really think that one of the things that I try to do is I define safe place. I don't define it, right? And and part of that safe place, when we come to a safe place, all of us, our expectations are different, right? You can have rules, but like what we're looking for, this is a safe place, right? And I think that for us, right, and for your viewers, and I think that how we define that is hard. And it's very personal. So I would say we are going through. We will all of us civilians will have PTSD after this.
Mhm.
In COVID, I went out for the first time for a very long time, and I had anxiety when I bought my first Starbucks coffee in 9 months.
Mhm.
And we're gonna double think and triple think how we do things. So that is trauma that we're going to experience. So number one part of this is one what I call, and again, no offense to anybody watching, the abstract things that you don't see and the functional things that we see. An
Mhm.
abstract tool could be meditation. I call them abstract. I know that other practitioners may not, but for me as a doer, right? I'm a functional guy. Part of this is, for me is the how do you help yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, and then the function is what you do and how you do that and how you incorporate those things into your day. So I would recommend to anybody out there, if you are to acknowledge that you're experiencing trauma,
Mhm.
and if you don't realize you're experiencing trauma, ask somebody around you, and they're probably going to say yes, and they can probably list reasons why, right? Acknowledge that, and then when we go into the real world, we're going to continue experiencing trauma. Someone's going to cough on you. I was actually on a business meeting with a guy from France and a guy from Spain, and one of them sneezed, and he literally said, "Oh, it's not COVID because we all did this. I have a running nose and I haven't had diarrhea." And he goes, I normally wouldn't say that in a meeting. This is like a first meeting, but we have to now. We might be, it's allergies, sorry, right? And so I think that how this is going to continue on, and how we work with each other and how we talk to each other. So I strongly think that rituals, find your what I call abstract rituals. Many of you guys who are probably watching this have those already. Stick to them, do them. If you meditate in the morning when you wake up, keep meditating even when you're tired. My ritual is I shower and I put on my shoes. I'm wearing shoes right now for this call. And so one, you probably already have the tools, and then the what I call the functional stuff is set those goals, use sticky notes, use your whiteboard, use your telephone, set reminders. And I think that the more, what I've seen in again, back to our goal setting group, is the more people started setting goals and doing things, they felt better, they were happier. And I noticed some of them would lie about taking their shower before they started taking a shower. We could all tell, we could all see. A couple of them got out of bed and started doing their calls from in front of their, sitting down and going outside. It's important to do these things. And I think those rituals are, get that into that routine. That's what you need to do, and that's how you're going to deal with that trauma. We already know, I think, a lot of people what needs to be done. We all have lists and lists and lists. So the question is, ask yourself, how can you do them, right? And it's a process, and acknowledging that we're going through something, and it's not just us. I have friends in China. I have friends in Italy. I have friends in Spain. It's not just us. And acknowledgement, that's important.
Mm. And I would guess that for some people, it's doing less is kind of the big takeaway for some people. Like I know a lot of people that should be doing less at this point.
Yes, we do. We
Yeah.
tend to.
So doing that, yeah, and I think that if you know somebody who should be doing less, then you have a responsibility. That's your homework for me.
Yeah.
I'm the setting group to tell them to do less, and and I think that that's part of our responsibility as leaders as well is to say, hey, take a step back. You're, you know, and I've done this a couple to people in our goal setting group. Actually, one of our newer members, she was recommended. So I asked, do you know anybody? I was one of their homework. I give them homework. That's what I do. Do you know somebody who needs to be in this group? And Erin was like, yep, sure, yep. And we got a few new people, because we do know people who need to be in the group. We do know people who need to take a shower. We do know people who need to sleep and stop working and stop emailing at 3 o'clock in the morning, stop checking their phone, stop looking at the news, stop liking and posting and resharing. There's a lot of negativity out there, and all of the technology is a blessing, but it also takes away from our energy and our positivity. And you may wake up and have a great 9 a.m. goal setting, and then you see all this negativity on the news. Like, that's functional stuff that you're seeing, right? And it's hurting you, right? And I think that we've had people who've taken a technology break, and that's another thing that I would recommend to a lot of people. We and I heard this on a webinar. We have allowed work to come into our house. I'm in your house, I'm in your house, and you're in my house. And how we set up the protection, we can't leave home for work because we are now working from home, right? And how we set up these barriers are huge. And I think that each and every one of us, as we let people into our homes, right? That's a vulnerability when my dog starts barking. Or knowing that, Jennifer, you don't know this, but I have a eternal Christmas tree here in the corner. And so people now see that and they ask that, right? And before it was a private thing, it was my thing. It made me happy. Now I have to explain it, right? So. And
then we bonded over it because I have a rainbow tree that I keep up year round as well. So it's like, oh my God, we're meant to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to be your publisher someday. Ed, when is your book out, by the way?
Well, during COVID, I decided that one of the things on my long list of things here is to publish a few things.
Oh.
And I am currently in the process of working on a few things, not just one. So.
Okay, I'm sure, knowing you.
Lengthy list. Yes.
But we're making progress, and I think that, you know, the last thing that I would like to share with everybody is that you don't have to have a list. That's me. Jen and Jen probably have lists, but that's us. And it's okay for you to wake up and conquer the day on the fly, right? And if that's what you do, that's okay. And I think that one of the most powerful things is just contact, like be in contact, ask for help, share your story, talk to people, use technology. I said don't use it, but use it in a positive way. And again, arm yourself for what comes next. And hopefully next is beautiful positivity, frolicking in the woods.
Yeah.
Such good stuff. This is such a great way to like punctuate the ending here of this conversation. And I think that the homework that we should ask of everyone is to go and ask someone how they're doing, which you started off by saying, because I think, and listening to hear the answer, not just saying it as a thing to fill air. And I think that that could be really revealing to just see how people are doing right now, and calling each other out if you need to slow down. And Jen, I could tell you to slow down. You could tell me to slow down, but I don't think that counts. I think we need to tell like somebody else to do that and someone else to tell us that. So
we are enablers for each other. So
yeah. So we need to cut that tie in that regard. But I think it's really freeing to hear that from someone. So thank you for all of this, just really good wisdom, Ed. I'm hoping that those who are watching take the opportunity to check out, because I know you have a Facebook group for the 9 a.m. Your 9 a.m. calls, which I think can be so valuable for people. So hopefully, you know, if you're watching this and you need to be motivated to take a shower and put shoes on, then I think that could be a good first starting place.
Start with that. So ladies, I want you to go take a shower.
Okay, guilty as charged. Okay.
Don't worry.
And barefoot too, by the way.
We'll talk later, Jennifer. We'll talk later. It works every time.
Oh gosh.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Ed. Thank you for joining us today. Bye, Jen Grace. See you next time.